come to the rink and try and win championships, and that's what it's all about. When you look from the outside and you watch this team, I know we're going to have a real good, solid hockey team this year.
Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host right here, Eric Wilson. Today, we want to preview the upcoming game versus the Bruins, which is taking place tonight. And of course, we'll hit you with the post-game recap tomorrow morning. But we also want to discuss a particular Rangers player here. Our favorite player, the Breadman, Artemi Panarin. He's off to an extremely hot start in the 2022-23 season. So we want to shed some light on how great he's been playing and kind of discuss whether or not we think that he could be the league MVP, the Hart Trophy winner. But before we dive into all of that good stuff today, Eric, how are you doing?
Doing good. It's always a fun day when I get to talk about Artemi Panarin. This is more of a upbeat topic than what we discussed last time, just calling people out. But, the Rangers apparently listened to what we had to say because the top six the last couple of games has stepped it up, and they keep continuing to impress.
For sure. Ever since we made the video kind of discussing about how the top six has faltered, the Rangers' top six has really stepped it up. I mean, Kreider with the game-winning goal in overtime. Panarin, of course, we said that he was playing great, but even Zibanejad and the rest of them, Kakko as well, they're all just playing better ever since that video. So maybe they're taking a little listen to Fireside Rangers. But let's go ahead and dive into the game preview first, and then we'll kind of hone in on Artemi Panarin during the game preview. But Eric, of course, we're going up against a 9-1 Boston Bruins tonight. We sit with a record of 6-3-2, and so, of course, Boston Bruins, a little bit of a better record there. They're playing better hockey right now. But what do you think the Rangers need to do to get this upset victory?
I think the defense is the biggest thing that's going to come into factor here. You got guys like David Pastrnak on Boston right now. He has 18 points in 10 games so far. I think he's leading the league right now. Patrice Bergeron's playing great too, and I know Brad Marchand is back as well. So the Bruins have a lot of offensive firepower that they're going to be throwing at us tonight. So the defense really needs to step it up, help Igor out, because he's not going to be able to stop everything from these guys.
Yeah, and Igor has been playing excellent lately, a shutout in the most recent win for the New York Rangers, but he does need some help. And there has been times this season where he hasn't really gotten that help, and some of the New York Rangers defensemen have really struggled. But who are you honing in on today? Obviously, Adam Fox is going to do great, as he always does. But of those defensemen who've been kind of struggling and inconsistent to start the season, who do you think needs to step up and have that big game tonight?
I would say it comes down between Ryan Lindgren and Jacob Trouba. I think those are the two guys who have been a little bit disappointing this season. Trouba has been taking a lot of penalties recently, and Lindgren has just kind of been non-existent next to Fox. So, Fox is going to need help too, just like Keandre Miller is. So I think definitely Lindgren and Trouba need to step it up. Not saying they've played bad, but they need to be on their A game tonight.
They've been inconsistent is what I would say. Not that they've been bad, but they haven't been great. They haven't really had, they haven't been setting a new bar, a new standard. They've been inconsistent. And so tonight we just need to hope that they actually turn in a very solid performance. This needs to be one of those good nights from those two guys if the Rangers want to go ahead and beat the 9-1 Bruins. Now let's go ahead. Igor, we just touched on him. He's playing phenomenally. But let's move towards the offense. Let's discuss some of those guys in the top six or the bottom six. How are you feeling? Who are you keying in on tonight to make an impact?
I mean, Artemi Panarin, definitely. We need to score a lot of goals tonight if we want to win, because as well as the defense and Igor plays, as I mentioned, the Bruins are going to put up like 2 to 3 goals. I think they're averaging 4-point-something goals a game this season, which is number one in the league right now. So it's like, the offense as a whole needs to be good. We're going to need to see Panarin do good. The whole first line, kids need to step it up. Pretty sure Hedl isn't playing again, so we're probably rocking the same lineup from last game. But I know it worked last game, so pretty much just do the same thing, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like Hedl might play tonight. It looks like it's going to be a game-time decision, so we'll see on that. Hopefully he does, because having him back in the lineup would be huge for the New York Rangers. But of those big stars that we have up top, Kreider, Zibanejad, Kakko, the rest of them, who needs to really excel in tonight's game?
You know what? I'll say Trocheck. He's been very well this season on faceoffs. I think he has the best faceoff record on our team, and the Bruins have some of the best faceoff guys in the entire league. So if we want to be able to control the puck and score goals, Trocheck's really going to have to step up and play well with Panarin and Kakko.
For sure. And before we dive into another one of these wingers, which is Artemi Panarin, I want to discuss someone else. First line winger, Kaapo Kakko, who I think has been playing really well. Now, the points are not exactly there. The stat sheet isn't totally stuffed by Kaapo Kakko, but he's playing aggressive. He's creating chances for his teammates and for himself. And I found his play to be rather impressive to start the year. I really like what he's bringing to the ice for the Rangers. So what are your thoughts on Capo Caco, and how do you expect him to play tonight?
I mean, he's played very well. You look at last game and that shutout win, that entire first period, Kako was easily the most dominant player on the ice from both teams. And, he might not be putting up points right now, but they're right there. He's playing with confidence. He's looking really well with the puck. And it's eventually they're just going to start filtering in, He's going to start finishing these chances. He's been making crazy moves recently, and it's kind of just a waiting game. One of these days, he's just going to click, and he's going to be an insane NHL player.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's getting close, man. He's really close to having one of those breakout performances where he just kind of takes off for, the rest of the season. Of course, Igor Shesterkin is starting tonight. I know we moved to the offense, but just to confirm, he will be in net, which is definitely exciting. I did not want to see Yaroslav Halak out there for this game. Again, as you mentioned, a lot of offensive firepower from the Bruins. I think that Igor has to play in this game in order for us to get the victory. But let's go ahead and dive into Artemi Panarin. Now, he has just been off to a dominant start to this season. I know he had a 4-point performance sometime last week, and he's had a few multi-point performances. He's averaging over a point per game. Eric, dive into the stats and let me know what you're thinking about Artemi Panarin.
I mean, in 11 games so far, he's put up 16 points. And, we're getting to that point of the season where we're deep enough in where, we can really gather an opinion on these players. So I did the math. I think with Panarin's numbers right now, he's on pace for like 119 points this season, which would be insane if that actually happened. He usually does get like injured at some point for like a couple of games. So I don't think he's going to hit that much. But, I think he's definitely going to hit 100 points this season. He's come very close many times. He came the closest the year 2019, I think it was, the year that COVID happened, because he was at like 90-something points, and then the season got cut like 20 games short. So he would have hit it that year. But I think this is his year where he finally hits 100 points.
I think so, too. And so let's talk about the Hart Trophy, because right now he is one of the best players in the NHL, or at least he's playing like it. He ends up cracking that 100-point threshold. Do you think that he's a shoo-in for the Hart Trophy?
I mean, yeah, I think that's a big part of it. The Hart Trophy is for the league MVP. It's not all about just the amount of points that you score. But in the last couple of years, I've kind of noticed that it has been like that a little bit. It's just like pretty much becoming the Art Ross Trophy Part 2. Or just whoever scores the most points gets it, or the most goals. But I think Panarin does have it in him. Just earlier this week, the NHL announced their 3 stars of the month for the first month of the season, and Panarin did win the honor of 3rd star. So the NHL is already recognizing that Panarin is a top 3 player in the league right now. And if he keeps up this consistent work that he's putting in right now, keep putting up points like that, playing great defensively as well, then yeah, I think he has a very solid chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to recognize the performance that he's put, because not only watching him, it's not just the eye test, but you read the stat sheets, you look at the box scores, and he's showing up pretty much every single game. As you mentioned, 16 points in only 11 games. So Artemi Panarin really doing it all for the Rangers, especially, on that second line, playing alongside Trocheck. And as he gets adjusted to the game, you mentioned him earlier as a guy who needs to stand out tonight. He's had his fair share of decent performances, but he is a little inconsistent, though we kind of agree that's because he's settling in, new team, new scheme, all that kind of stuff. But Artemi Panarin has been the one constant in just about every single game. He has excelled. He has played way above expectations, and he's absolutely balling, and I'm excited to see him take the ice tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the only concerning stat I see with him right now is his plus-minus is currently at -3, and I'm assuming that those numbers are similar to Trocheck and Lafreniere as well down there on the second line. But that's like the only concerning thing, and it's not even like that bad of a number, just start off the season only at -3, a couple of bad games here and there. So I think that'll definitely fix itself.
I tend to agree with you on that one. I think it will fix itself, especially as the Rangers, a little bit of a shaky start to the season, but they're starting to pick it back up. They're getting back to their winning ways. And if the team can just continue to build on top of each and every single win, we can absolutely have that dream season that we were hoping for.
Yeah, and just to confirm those numbers that I mentioned, Trocheck is sitting at a -2 and Lafreniere is a +1. So Panarin does have the worst out of the line right there, but he does put up the most amount of points and have the most playing time out of them as well, because you can factor in power play time as well. So yeah, it makes sense.
Absolutely. So before we wrap this one up, just to finish the pregame discussion here, the preview, let's talk about special teams. What are your thoughts on the Rangers special teams as of late? And, how do you think that's going to come into play against the Bruins?
I think the power play has been really good the last couple of games. It started off a little rocky with the season, but we've been putting up more power play goals as the season has progressed so far. And I think that's going to be a huge part of winning tonight. Obviously, like we mentioned, we're going to need to score a lot of goals. And the easiest way to do that is on the power play. So yeah, we got to capitalize on these opportunities. As for the penalty kill, on the other hand, Boston has an insane power play. So if we need to be very it's like don't take as many penalties. What I'm trying to say, I can't think of the word.
A little more careful,
Yeah.
not a little less aggressive, more conservative, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. Giving up too many penalties, it's gonna come back to bite us in the ass sooner or later. So Rangers definitely need to be a little bit more careful in that regard. You mentioned that earlier with Jacob Trouba. He needs to be on his A game, not spend too much time, in the penalty box. But I guess that pretty much wraps up this discussion about Artemi Panarin, his potential to win the Hart Trophy this year, and of course, previewing this matchup tonight with the Boston Bruins. It's going to be a really good one. Like I said, we'll have the recap for you in the coming days, and we're super excited to get back to live streaming pre-games and all that kind of stuff. We're busy boys here, but we're not going to stop the grind. Fireside Rangers episodes are going to continue so long as we are living.
The word I was looking for was disciplined.
Discipline.
A disciplined game is what we need.
Well, that falls upon the shoulders of Gerard Gallant. Hopefully he has a disciplined group out there on the ice, and the New York Rangers are able to go ahead and get their 7th win of the season over the Boston Bruins. But that pretty much wraps things up. Let us know down below in the comments section what you think of Artemi Panarin's performance through the first few games of the season, and what are you thinking ahead of tonight's game versus the Bruins. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. We'll catch you all on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.
He shoots. He's